in listen-only mode.
Hi, welcome to this webinar on this GlassFish update. I'm Steve Millidge. I'm from C2B2. We're a company that provides operational support for GlassFish, and we also organise the London GlassFish User Group. So we're keen to get this update from Reza. So what we have is Reza Rahman. He's a Java, EE, GlassFish and WebLogic evangelist, and he's going to give us a roadmap update on GlassFish first. Then we're going to have a Q&A session, which is open, so you can ask whatever you like. Basically, you need to type the questions in the question area on GoToMeeting, and they'll be collected up, passed to me to read them out, and send them on to sort of read them out to Reza. And if we've got any left over, we'll do a sort of follow-up event in the next few weeks, where it'll either be a blog or something like that, where we'll round up all the rest of the questions and answer them in sort of one big blog posting. So thanks very much for Reza for spending the time to do this. This will also be recorded, so we'll get a lot of views from that way as well. And over to you.
Okay, very good. So hopefully everyone can see the screen here. I'll try to keep this as brief as I can, because I know there's a bunch of questions, and I'd like to answer the questions today in the session if possible. So I've broken down sort of my time into 3 different parts. I'll be talking a little bit about the goals of GlassFish. As we know, some of those have changed, so it's worthwhile going over those, I believe. I'll be sharing with you exactly what the roadmap for GlassFish 401 is. And then finally, I'd like to share with you a little bit of what we're working on right now, which is Java E8 and the very high-level, very forward-looking plans for GlassFish 5. Okay, so I do need to show you this disclaimer because I will be talking about Java E8 and GlassFish 5, and actually even GlassFish 401. All this is really saying is, whatever I tell you may change. Obviously, the likelihood of changing is more as we are talking about things that are more remote in the future. So let's start with the role of GlassFish, if you will. As a lot of you know, GlassFish Commercial was discontinued. In particular, really what that means is there will be no Oracle commercial support for GlassFish 4 and beyond. So there will be no such Oracle GlassFish Server 4. There will continue to be GlassFish open source, and we'll talk about that in a second. But what you should also keep in mind is that the GlassFish 3 customers are still in good shape. So their commercial support, is going to continue for all intents and purposes for a very, very long time. So there's really no reason to suddenly panic about GlassFish 3. That will remain commercially supported. In terms of Oracle, what we see, or what we are aiming for, is essentially commercializing Java EE via WebLogic alone. So a lot of people might ask the question, okay, so why did we do such a thing, and why did we discontinue GlassFish commercial support? The reality is, for most companies, just keeping one viable Java EE implementation is hard. Most companies, most smaller companies struggle to do even that. And you can only imagine, only Oracle would even consider continuing 2 different commercial application server lines for a period of time. But nonetheless, we did. But really, it's not a long-term viable solution in terms of resources and logistics. So we are just focusing on WebLogic as a commercial vehicle for monetizing Java EE going forward. However, this doesn't mean that GlassFish just becomes nothing. As a matter of fact, in my mind, this actually crystallizes GlassFish's goals and makes it much less ambiguous. So GlassFish open source, first and foremost, will continue. We will continue developing on it. And it's not merely just a reference implementation. It is definitely the reference implementation for Java EE, But as you'll see, now we're also talking about GlassFish 401. That should tell you that it's a bit more than a reference implementation. A reference implementation would only be released with a Java EE release, and that's really it. But that's not the case with GlassFish open source. Really, our focus on GlassFish is building out the community and giving people a vehicle to learn Java EE, to evaluate Java EE properly, to perhaps use GlassFish for development while using WebLogic for production, and certainly any kind of innovation or community building that we would want to do, any evangelism activities going forward, for example, doing demos and the like, that will all still continue under GlassFish. And so actually, GlassFish is a very, very important because Java EE is very, very important to Oracle. As I mentioned, part and parcel of this is also, I think now we're looking more to the community. So GlassFish, it should be a bit more community friendly now, right? Because it doesn't really have all of the things, all of the baggage that comes along with commercial support. So this is the place to work, to do something. If you want to contribute to an app server, if you want to do some hacking, want to do some contributing, want to do some bug fixes, to help the community out, to to further the goals of Java EE adoption and innovation, GlassFish open source is a place to do that. Of course, we will have the Java EE releases, so whenever we do a Java EE release, we'll have a GlassFish release to go along with that, but we'll also have bug fix releases, and really that is what 401 is mostly about. So what will constitute GlassFish 401 is also the Java E7 RI update as well as the update for an SDK. Principally what we're doing with GlassFish 401 is addressing bugs, so, must fix and important bugs, as many as we can, as many as we feel is necessary to maintain those goals of GlassFish in terms of being a usable, nice usable environment to foster the Java EE community and to evaluate Java EE generally. What this also means, though, is in addition to those bug fixes, any work that we've done in any of the constituent projects in GlassFish, and remember, GlassFish is a Java EE reference implementation. What this really means is that it's an umbrella project that constitutes all of the Java EE APIs. So things like Jersey, Mohara, Tyrus, Grizzly, CDI, all of these things are included part and parcel of GlassFish. So as part of releasing 401, what we're really also doing is pulling in updated versions of all of these projects, all of which have bug fixes, they have feature enhancements, particularly CDI 1.2 might interest the community, and the latest version of Weld. Right? So those are all nice updates that you sort of get for free by virtue of just doing another release of 401. We're also focusing efforts on making GlassFish 401 JDK 8 compatible. And the reason for this is that we see good alignment between Java SE7 and Java EE7. You ought to be able to use, and you should use, a lot of the SE8 features with Java EE7. Right? It's a compelling, it's a compelling combination, and hence we want to enable that combination to the community by testing against JDK 7 in GlassFish 401. There's going to be, again, sort of security type bug fixes. So if somebody is using GlassFish seriously, we don't want them to have security vulnerabilities. We want to make sure that doesn't occur. So we will be focusing on security bug fixes as a distinct focus in addition to fixing the important functional bugs, if you will. The other nice thing is GlassFish 401 will be scheduled with the next big release of NetBeans. So that means NetBeans 801 will bundle GlassFish 401 with it. Again, nice synergy between Java EE7 and Java SE8. When do we plan to deliver this? Quite honestly, as soon as possible. However, in all practicality, probably more like delivered by Java 1 2014, so around September, if you will. Some of you may already know we've already started work on Java 8. So we started this work by doing a series of community surveys to figure out what our core community actually wants out of Java EE. And we thought that was a very successful effort. We got about 4,500 people, 4,500 responses to these surveys, and we thought the results were very, very good. The results are published out. If you haven't looked at it yet, I suggest taking a look at it. It's these two links that are included in the slide deck. To give you a very sort of high-level possibilities for Java 8, these are the kind of things we're looking at. So we're looking at adding support of HTTP2 via Servlet 4, adding support for server-sent events, standardizing a higher-level binding API for JSON, potentially adding an action-oriented web framework like the structs of the world and the Spring MVCs of the world as an alternative to JSF. It's something that folks have been asking for us for a long time, and clearly there's a desire to have this in the standard, and so we're working towards that. There'll be another big ticket item that's sort of very salient in all of our wish lists and surveys is work towards simplifying security in EE. So we'll be doing a bit of that work. There's potentially a REST-based management and monitoring API that we want to add. A lot of people want that for DevOps type things and cloud environments and the like. So to do things like provisioning and deployment and non-deployment, some basic monitoring and the like. We'll be continuing our CDI alignment work. So a big part of that is going to be CDI2, which comes from JBoss, good folks at JBoss, or good folks at Red Hat to be more specific. And we'll be parsing out a few more of the EJB features to be used in CDI. That seems to be a popular thing that people want to do, so we definitely want to do that. Potentially doing a bit more EJB pruning. Some of the obvious things on the enterprise space is adding JCache, which was standardized a few months ago, that a lot of folks are very excited about. Adding perhaps a little bit more configurability to Java EE applications, doing another revision of JMS. JMS 2.0 seems to be relatively popular. There's a bit of leftover work in the JMS spec that we'd like to take on, so we'll probably be doing a bit of that as well. And of course, Java SE alignment. We always want to be aligned with the corresponding Java SE version. A lot of that, as I said, you kind of get for free because you can already use a lot of the Java SE features with Java E7. However, there's some specific things like repeating annotations, computable features, perhaps adapting some of the Java APIs to the new datetime API, seeing if we can make better use of lambdas and the like. That we'll also take a look at for Java E8. At a very, very high level, this is sort of our roadmap for GlassFish and Java E8, or Java E generally. So again, we'll be starting the JSR submission process for Java E8 very, very soon. We'll be forming the expert groups also very, very soon, all before Java 1, hopefully. And we'll also be doing the GlassFish 4.1 release before Java 1 as well. And following along the usual timelines for the JCP, we're hoping maybe by end of 2016 we'll have a GlassFish 5 release to officially support Java E8, and hopefully we'll see what else is needed for GlassFish in terms of further releases. Okay, I think I'm going to skip this slide. Basically, this slide is talking about spinning up Adopt to JSR. Some of you may be familiar with it. It's basically a program to encourage grassroots level participation in Java EE JSRs. So we'll be trying to spin that program up in addition to running the Java EE JSRs, just so that we can get better participation in those JSRs, hopefully resulting in better quality JSRs. Okay, so that all being said, I think I'm going to turn it over back to Steve for the community roundtable.
Okay, thanks Reza for that. It's good to see that there is a roadmap, which is what a lot of people have been concerned about and asking questions about in general. So we've had a few questions in. So one of them is, I suppose, is fairly basic about bug fixing, and the question is Oracle going to stop paying people for fixing bugs and developing GlassFish, or is that continuing?
Oh, no. As I said, I mean, our goals are to have a usable, usable vehicle for building out the community for Java EE. So yes, obviously, if there's high priority bugs that need to be fixed that are stopping us from the goals of community building and evangelism and building out the mindshare for Java 8, obviously we're going to fix those. Again, things like security fixes we'll be doing and the like, of course. Yeah. So that will continue.
Okay, and related to that, we have a question around, I suppose, the roadmap and point releases, and that's whether between, you mentioned 5 will be aligned with Java EE 8. It's whether there'll be any bug fix point releases between 4.0.1 and 5.0 for things like security fixes and those areas.
So the answer to that question is very likely. Right, so we're trying our best to fix all the bugs with 4.01, but in all reality, as we move forward, there's going to be bugs. So yes, in all likelihood, we may have more intermediate releases. There also may be more intermediate releases as we spin up the work for Java EE 8, and there's some natural flux in the code base and the like.
Okay, and another bug fix question is, so are all the bug fixes that are in GlassFish Oracle server, are they in the GlassFish 4 project?
Yes.
As the baseline?
Yes, that's a very simple question to answer. The answer is absolutely yes.
That's good. It's good from my point of view. And another one is, will there be any updates to some of the core areas that aren't Java EE? For example, Shoal in the HK2 container and those areas.
So those areas in all reality are not the emphasis, right? Because they used to be more of the emphasis when we actually had a commercial product. Unless there's a specific reason to be doing work in those areas, for example, further R&D or some work related to this standardization, for example, modularity, in all likelihood, we won't be doing work in those areas just for the sake of doing work in those areas.
Okay, thanks for that. Now there's some more general questions around the community. So you say that you want more community involvement. I think the question really is, that's on here, is one of them is, if so, what steps are you going to make to lower the barrier? And is there any plans, so related to that, it's the same question from the same person, is there any plans to put the source code onto GitHub?
Okay, so these are tricky questions. So let me answer the first one. So as always, we have our eyes and ears open. So if there's any reasonable things we can do to lower the barriers of entry to contributing to GlassFish, yes, we absolutely do consider that seriously and will continue to do so. In all reality, in the short term, though, we really do feel like it's already fairly good. Perhaps it's not the absolute best that you can imagine, but it's good enough, and we've had community contributions in the past, and honestly, somebody who has a genuine interest in contributing, the barrier to contributing is not pretty high for them. Will we move to GitHub? I think that is dependent on a larger question of Oracle itself. So generally speaking, we use our own infrastructure. If you will, we dogfood it. Currently, our infrastructure is in Java.NET, and that seems to be working relatively well. So we'll continue to keep all of our code bases primarily on Java.NET. I would say that if there's a desire to move to GitHub, perhaps the real desire is getting the Java.NET folks generally perhaps to move to GitHub as a whole, and GlassFish would move to GitHub as a natural process of that. It's unlikely that we'll be doing something one-off for GlassFish. It's just logistically very difficult to do so.
Okay, and a more general question from one of the attendees is, okay, how would you like the community to actually organize itself? What sort of contributions would you like? And what's your vision on the community as a gist of that question?
Okay, so being on the other side of the fence, being a developer, I can tell you contributing is easier said than done. If you have a true desire to contribute, I would say it's a gradual process. It takes months, if not years, to become a serious committer. Here's the general steps I would take. The easiest way of contributing that actually we really need some help on is folks simply being more active in the GlassFish forums, helping each other, asking questions, and generally being active in the forums and the communities, online communities that we already have. So that's an easy thing to do. Some other things are, of course, continuing to report bugs, right? So if the bugs aren't reported, it's very hard for us to find out what those are. So don't underestimate the function and the value of that effort. So continue to file bugs. And another natural way of contributing is maybe helping fix some of those bugs. Right? Again, that's a huge help. It's perhaps not as glamorous as contributing a feature, but guess what? It's probably more valuable than contributing a feature. And of course, ultimately, if you so wish, contributing some features and all that. All of this is very, very simple, and we've been doing this for years, relatively effectively. So if you want to do such things, please get in touch with us, or even to do some of the basic things, you actually don't even need to get in touch with us. You simply need to have the desire and the commitment to help.
Okay, thanks. It is very easy to build GlassFish because we've got a blog on it, so I'll do a little plug for our blog. There's some more questions just around Java EE here. So can you elaborate more on EJB pruning and what exactly will be pruned?
So this is TBD, and honestly, this is a question for the EG to answer more than myself. I can tell you some possibilities. So some possibilities are perhaps pruning the Corba interoperability piece. Corba is, as you know, quite old technology. The problem is where it is used, it's used for mission-critical things. So it's a little easier said than done to say let's prune Corba, but that's potentially something we could perhaps prune. We could think about pruning EJB2 altogether. Right? Again, problematic proposition because there's still a lot of people using it even after 8 years. And where it's being used, it's quite mission critical. So yeah, that's the long and short of that question. I think.
So if you want to know what's pruned, get involved in the expert group. Is that
exactly? Yeah, yeah. If you want to know, if you have a say in it, best way to do it is get involved with the expert group and let your opinion be known.
Okay. Another one on Java EE 8 is, what, in your opinion, is the coolest feature in Java EE 8?
I'm a little biased because I like all the features that are slated in Java EE 8 so far. If I were to pick one, I think the slickest one may be the security enhancements that we're thinking about. I think once we polish that up, folks might be very pleasantly surprised as to how easy security can be. I think if we accomplish what we're set out to do, the security piece in Java EE may be the easiest of any technology out there. So I think that's pretty cool.
Okay, and a related question, which is, when I find it, what is the single most exciting new feature that isn't in the Java EE spec that GlassFish developers are currently working on?
That's interesting. So there's a particularly interesting feature. It's called extensible command lines. So part of this work will probably go into the REST-based management and monitoring API that I talked about. But it's basically make your own GlassFish command line. So it's kind of a DSL for AS admin. I believe Martin Maris may be talking about this feature for our Sunday GlassFish event for Java 1. So if you're interested in that, attend that event and he'll tell you all about it.
Okay, and we've got one from one of your ex-colleagues here. When will we see Java EE 7 compliance for WebLogic?
This is a tough question, and not because I don't know, but because I can't tell you.
Yeah.
Oracle is very tight-lipped about commercial products. All I can tell you is it's a priority, and you should expect it sooner rather than later.
Do we know which version number it will be in?
I obviously cannot tell you that. That's a very specific product management question.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we just don't do. I mean, the only people that with proper authority to tell you that is an official roadmap declaration, and that's only going to probably happen in Java 1 2014. I am in no position to share details of WebLogic with you, unfortunately, beyond just telling you that it's a priority and it's going to happen sooner rather than later.
Okay, and then one on JDK 8, just to confirm, I think, is 4.0.1, is that certified for JDK 8, or will it be?
Yes, it will be. Yeah, it's speaking as to GlassFish, yes.
Yes, GlassFish, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I think that's all the questions we currently have, unless anyone else out there has any more to do. Nope, is there anything else you want to wrap up with, Reza?
Not much. I would just say I know it's been sort of I mean, first of all, I want to say, Oracle and folks in the GlassFish team, we really appreciate the community. Honestly, I don't think the kind of grassroots level basic support that we have in our community has always been very encouraging, and it's honestly very heartening for us that despite all of these sort of tectonic shifts that we've had in our goals and roadmap, that people still support us and still wish us well, and honestly that means quite a bit. And we hope to do justice to those sentiments and that support. Oracle is very much committed to GlassFish open source, very much committed to Java EE, and it's not all because of altruistic reasons, and I think that's a good thing. These interests and this commitment is actually based on real monetary value that Oracle draws in the short and long term, and that's honestly the best guarantee for the future of Java EE and GlassFish. So I would say I know it's been a rough time, but just hold on. Things are fine.
Okay, thanks for the encouraging words. From a community perspective, just to wrap up from our side, we have a Birds of a Feather session at DevOps UK in London, and that is free to attend on the 12th of June at 6:30 if you're in Europe. And our Birds of a Feather session on GlassFish follows directly after the Birds of a Feather session on Java EE, so which works out quite well. And we'll have David Delabassi from Oracle there. He'll be talking about GlassFish roadmap again, but he'll also be talking about Project Avatar and the work that's been done on that. And a plug for myself here. We're also hoping to get a community session on GlassFish and how we sort of and motivate the community to contribute at Java 1. Hoping to get that session myself. So thank you for your time, Reza. Thanks for contributing to this. I know it's a good thing to do, and it takes quite a bit of organisation. A lot more goes behind the scenes than actually happens on the day. So thanks for your time on that. We appreciate it, and this will be recorded and released onto the internet at some point. If you watch our Twitter feed, and that'll appear on the net when our marketing people do their magic. Thanks for your time again. Thanks everybody for your attendance. If you've got any other questions, if you submit them, we can look at them ourselves as well. Thanks very much.